Maria back with another video. It's 10:12 a.m. Sunday morning. I woke up about an hour ago. I did some dishes, and I'm gonna have to jet across town today, so I have to get out of the house. Yesterday I stayed in the house all day, and I will say that it was pretty boring. My mood picked up in the evening. Usually that's kind of the cycle that's been going on lately. I would say, it improves a little bit in the evening, only because I know that I'm going to be going to bed and I'm going to be able to relax a little bit more. So that does help a little bit. But, so I was thinking today about, my situation and the root of all of this. And, I had reached out to who I assume to be the main perp in all of this. And, like I said, I don't like to make assumptions, but, if that person is indeed behind it, I would be very flattered, and I do like this person. I like him a lot, actually. But, the thing is that, these sort of things aren't necessary, and what it does, no matter how well-intentioned it is, it creates a lot of emotional and financial problems for the person who is in the situation. And, there's nothing that this person can do that would make me angry with them. Believe me, there's nothing. I think that, this main issue originally started off with my blood relations, and really, and all the other confusion that went along with it, is really basically who I put the responsibility on. But, and also, I put the responsibility on the employers, mainly because they should know better than to do something like that. I did a video back in January, I think, of 2016. Yeah, it had to be 2016. So it was basically talking about National Stalking Awareness Month, which I will be doing another video on that topic next month, to kind of reiterate certain key points. There are different versions of stalking. There's domestic stalking, like in the case where I was being domestically stalked by my family. My family was manipulating my job and creating harassing situations in the workplace. They had been doing this for years, okay? I don't know. They're just people that don't know any better. But whatever the case is, I got it. They're very psychotic, and whatever. Moving on. And then they have what they call predatory stalking, and sometimes it takes the form of maybe like a secret admirer, working through employers to reserve a person for them in a way. And I don't like to assume things, but it's awesome, because like I said, this particular person has always been someone that I've been interested in, but and I would really, the door is completely open to this person, I'm like serious, okay, but I will say that it still falls under the category of stalking. And oftentimes there's limitations placed on a particular person that deprives them of their rights, and that can also kind of fall under the category of sexual harassment. I'm assuming the very fact that I'm an African American and I have to take care of my hair in a certain way kind of falls along the lines of this issue. And I have seen people get involved in relationships at work, and I am the kind of person, there was a job that I was working at a few years ago where their general manager was dating one of his subordinates, whether it be subordinate just to management or management against management, or a subordinate. I guess it's okay understanding like a subordinate against a subordinate, but still, I'm the kind of person, I try to conduct myself in a way that is beyond reproach. I don't have the ability to get away with the things that other people get away with just by the nature of who I am. So I try very hard to not get involved. And there is no temptation to even do so, okay? I have to keep my reputation crystal clean, meaning I don't have, the leeway and the financial backing to allow myself to make any sort of mistakes like that, okay? I'm all by myself. So I don't even do anything that's going to make people think, well, that's questionable. I've seen people do things that were just outright illegal, and yet they're continuing to live their life, okay? So I'm very well aware of the inequalities that go on in the workplace, okay? So I have always, conducted myself in a way that's beyond reproach. So to assume something about me is just, kind of silly. So anyway, that's been on my mind a lot lately, and I will say that oftentimes people do stalk people with good intentions, okay, but whatever the case is, stalking is still stalking. It's still stalking, and it does create problems for a person. In my situation, I'm receiving unemployment benefits that are basically starting to run out, and it puts me in a state of frustration and the emotional stress that I deal with, not knowing how do I make my next move, what do I do, how do I look for work, whatever. And when there's a situation in place where, and I'm not aware of it, I'm sitting here applying for jobs that I'm wasting my time, okay? And that is extremely emotionally devastating to a person, okay? So you got to think about the situation and the position that puts a person in, okay? I know that, I believe in 2017, they updated, in California, they updated the laws that relate to stalking. And I had talked about this many times. And, when you are someone who has been deprived of their rights, you can't help but feel the frustration. And once again, my frustration is not with this particular person, okay? Like I said, he's got beautiful brown eyes, so I mean, hey, he kind of slips through it all. But when it comes to employment, people should know better. They should know better. They should be well informed in these situations. And that's my point. And this is the point I've been making for a very long time. Even when I was, aware of the fact that just my blood relations, and I believe even possibly my soon-to-be ex-husband's family was involved in this. So stalking is stalking is stalking is stalking. And it hurts a person very badly. I can't tell you the stress that I have gone through because of this situation. And it's not so much him, this particular person. It's more this from the back past issues that I had to deal with, relating to my family, being set up on weird job interviews. I don't want that. I didn't ask for any of that. I didn't ask for not one bit of it. And, when you're dealing with stalking issues, you get a lot of irrational people who want to take this issue out on you, and it's not something I did. I didn't do anything. And that's where my biggest problem is, because, I'm the one who suffers for what I consider to be these administrative blurbs that so many people get involved in. And so my thing is that, employers really should know better. And so hopefully my next video covering the National Stalking Awareness Month is going to be a little better than the one that I did last year. God, look how long this has been going on. Last year, and I've been trying to work with my my computer program. I'm still working on the presentation about human trafficking also. I will say that, when you're dealing with this kind of stress and this anxiety, it kind of puts a damper on you, to where sometimes you just lay in bed, or you just lay on the couch or whatever in a very stagnant mode because you feel so frozen. You feel, you don't know what to do anymore. Because when you think about all the things that you've covered, all the topics that you brought up, all this stuff that you mentioned, all the laws or everything, you look at the duration of time, you wonder, is anything that you do, does any of it matter? And that's what bothers me, and that's what scares me and frustrates me so much because, things should have been cleared up a long time ago, like when I first started talking about this. But we're at almost 600, and I don't know, God knows how many videos. I'm a victim of stalking. I'm a victim here, and I don't want to be, put in situations where my options are limited in any way. I have to take care of myself. I have to make sure that, my bills are paid, and, ultimately the responsibility lays on the employer, regardless of who, whether it be my blood relations, my soon-to-be ex-husband, or the new beautiful stalker. It's basically them. It's them because they are supposed to know these things, okay? Like I mentioned before, and maybe at that time people thought that I was just, mumbling, or maybe they didn't quite understand. But when it comes to things like relating to human resources, HR, or whatever, like I said, anybody can do that job. Anybody can fill out those forms, okay? All you have to do is highlight the pertinent information that person needs to have filled out, and you got it, okay? But what you're hoping to find somebody who understands these intricate laws. You're hoping to finding somebody who knows how to protect the best interests within that company. And that's my biggest issue. And so when you look at these situations, you start seeing that there's a lot of people who are unqualified to be in these positions, especially when they involve themselves in stuff like that. And it's everywhere. I mean, it's absolutely everywhere. There is, a lawyer who's supposed to be well-versed in employment law who is also a mayor. And yet, I believe and I suspect that he understood what was going on in his town, and he let that stuff happen. And so my thing is that people need to understand, these particular things that relate to this sort of stuff, okay? Because we wouldn't have most of the targeted individuals we have right now if people did. They wouldn't be in these situations, And so what do you do with all these unqualified, ignorant people? And when I'm saying ignorant, I'm not trying to cut them down. It's just that, if these people don't understand that, or understand what these little posters and how they relate, what they mean on the wall, what kind of problems are we going to have? I mean, we have huge problems. There's a lot of targeted individuals all over the place, okay? And it should stop. It really needs to stop, And so I'm trying to educate people as much as I possibly can, because I don't want anybody else to suffer through this. I will say there's a lot of suffering that you experience being in a situation like this, and not, like I said, emotionally, financially, it's extremely devastating. Extremely devastating. So anyway, I'm going to get dressed, and I'm going to head out the door, and I'm going to come back home and finish my art projects, which I have been working on my art. And no, I do not want to do that for a living. I wouldn't dream of doing it for a living, okay? It's just something that I enjoy, and I like to make pictures. I'm not a professional artist. I'm an amateur artist, someone who creates art to relieve stress and to also show or relate to the childlike part of me, which I think is really cool, actually. But it's not something that I would do for a living. I don't see myself as an artist, okay? And one of the reasons why I'm not the artist is I'm too analytical to be an artist. When artists create pieces, they just go with the flow. I mean, whatever comes to their mind, they're just like, it's free flowing for them. I tend to pick apart a lot of the things that I want to put together, Like I was making a pillow yesterday, and I was thinking, it's kind of cute to be like, make a purple hedgehog. And I kept thinking, hedgehogs are not purple, they're brown, So I'm like picking apart all these stupid things, but where artists are just more creative and they're free with it. And I would not ever want my art dictated, like, I am putting up a site, for my art, but it's not something that I would want to do for a living. It would be very burdensome to me to associate my art with my life, with my living. It wouldn't be fun anymore. This is something that I do for my own personal well-being. It's just one of those things. Just like, a lot of people, like a guy, he might, I don't know, be the head of a company, and he might enjoy golf, or he might enjoy carving rifles, the butts of rifles, or he might enjoy making fishing poles or whatever. It's like, I get fearful when people start to try to know me because they start to, paint me or assume things about me that aren't true. Or they try to kind of manipulate things based on the little knowledge that they know. Don't do that. Please don't, okay? But anyway, once I get everything set up, I will be displaying, my products, which I have, like I said, I've already put some of them up, but I still have more to do. But I'm not, that's not something I would ever do for a living. I have too much of a business type mind, administrative type background, and a passion for that. Believe it or not. I think people like to see me as an artist because, I kind of maybe, I'm a little different than other people, but a lot of that has to do with my background, the way I was raised, or I should say the free-flowing way that I've developed into myself, but it's not something that I see myself as, I'm more, I don't know, I get, like I said, it kind of terrifies me when people start to get to know me a little bit because they assume things about me that really aren't true. You know what I mean? My art is completely separate from how I ever want to make my living. So anyway, I'm going to wrap up this video, and that's not to say that I wouldn't sell pieces because, I certainly would, but I would never do it or rely on it as an income or anything like that because my art is not, number one, my art's not that good, okay? It's basic art that people would like if they have like a child type heart, like a young at heart type person, or they appreciate, basic amateur art is basically what it would be for. There's artists out there that blow my shit away. There's, so I wouldn't be that dumb to think that I could actually make a living on that sort of thing. So anyway, I'm going to wrap up my video. I've got to splash some water on my face. I got that sleep crap in my eye, and get some clothes on so I can head out the door. So I will be back with another video, and I hope you all have a wonderful Sunday. Take care. Bye-bye.